What's up, former party people? This is Jerry, the one who actually combs his hair on the A is for Alcoholic podcast. Now, if you're finding value in listening to the AIFA podcast every week, and you want to support sharing it with others, we invite you to become a sustaining monthly or per show contributor. Go to patreon.com/AIFA. It's super easy and it only takes a quick moment. It's about as easy as buying one of those pre-cooked space chickens from the grocery store, taking it outside, giving it a big old kiss, and kicking it into traffic. Why would you do that? Anyway, you do you, and I'll do me. Again, go to patreon.com/AIFA. And with that, people, let's start the show.
A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism, one letter at a time.
I'm watching it. I'm in C major.
All right. So, welcome to the A is for Alcoholic preamble.
Howdy.
It is the day before Thanksgiving, and Jerry and I are sitting here. He's got a little bit of snow. I've got a little bit of rain where I'm at. It's cold. He asked me how I was doing, and I'm doing all right. I feel like it was too cold for me to go running, but I'm going to have to get over that because it's not going to get any warmer anytime soon.
Yeah.
And I felt kind of like blah, and I was like, oh, it's because you didn't do any exercise, John. You can't just like get up in the morning and drink coffee anymore. Like that used to be the go-to, the standard, and I still do. I mean, that's one of the cool things about recording this in the early afternoon is I can still sip on some coffee rather than at night. But that's just something that I've noticed now. Is like, well, if I don't go and get my little run in, I'm not going to feel well. So, and I know that you've you've got a pretty tight routine.
Yeah, I've lifted weights today. I didn't want to though. I was in the same boat. I was not feeling it today, but I did it though.
How long? Like, I'm just wondering. Like, before that routine went into effect, how many starts and stops? Because I remember you talking about not being able to do it or not wanting to do it, or kind of trying to figure it out and saying, oh, well, maybe I'll try this yoga and do this. And
right.
I mean, how long has it been now
that I've been doing this routine in particular? Probably like 10 months. No, maybe not that long. It's been about 10 months because Megan got me a weight bench for Christmas last year.
Oh, really?
Probably longer than 10 months. But I've dialed in the routine in the past, I'd say 9 months, 8 months, where it's like 3 days of lifting weights and 2 days of running. And then sometimes I'll flip it and do 3 days of running, 2 days of lifting weights. But there's 5 days a week. I always have to at least work out for at least 20 minutes. But every time I work out, it's always 45, sometimes an hour.
Right.
Depending on how I'm feeling. Like today, it was like 40 minutes because I didn't feel like doing that shit today. It was like my day off. It was snowing out. It was cold. I was like, I don't want to do any of this. And then I got to wash dishes and then eat breakfast and then feed animals and then do the podcast and then go to the store. And I was like, I don't want to do any of that. But I did it. I'm here. I showed up. I dressed out. I'm going to go to the gas station later to get a ham.
So today's podcast, the regular sponsors that we have. Go check out the other podcasts. Gluten is not your problem. And Walter talks about his Thanksgiving Day woes, or why he thinks everyone's ruining Thanksgiving, and why don't they just do what they're supposed to do, and everything will be fine. And Rashida and John, we're going to record one, I think, tomorrow. We got the day off, both of us, and we're going to make... I don't know. We were thinking about doing like a, I think originally we were like, let's just do juice giving and we'll just drink juice all day and kind of like, not do the opposite of feasting and sort of do it like a juice fast.
Like a not fun version.
Right, exactly. Basically. But I think that we're just going to keep it light, and she's going to bake a sweet potato pie. So that's awesome.
Nice. Sweet.
And yeah, Rashida and John podcast and Green Camel Press, which we were working on some stuff yesterday. Very cool. Christmas cards are out. If you want some Christmas cards, Jerry, you know where to send people. If you know anybody, if you folks know anybody,
my people hit you up,
please.
Yeah.
And thanks to everybody who reached out. If you're listening to this right now and you would like to be a part of one of our future podcasts, I would love it if you would send us a message on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, a voice memo. You can send it to asforalcoholic@gmail.com. And I'm just wondering, what keeps you sober today? What keeps you sober? You know, why are you sober? But like, what keeps you sober today? So yes, I think that's most of the preamble. Today we're on letter U. We're almost done with the year. We're almost done with the alphabet. So at this point, what have we been doing this a year and a half now?
Has that been 18 months?
It's been like 18 months. U is for, I wanted to talk about using other people's minds. And this is something that I heard a guy talking about, and one of the things that comes up in the program that Jerry and I do is this idea of self-will run riot? Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Run rampant, run riot?
Run riot, yeah.
And we often talk about that idea of, our own will didn't get us anywhere. Our own thinking didn't get us anywhere, and so we had to give it over to God, right? So we do God's will, right? Or whatever that means.
Right.
And we've talked about God as a metaphor, and so I'm not necessarily, you can pick whatever, you pick your brand of God. But one of the other things is that, there's only, you can't, nobody sits in a vacuum and prays and then gets all the answers. I mean, I don't even think monks do that. They have to hit the mess hall and, they eat with each other.
The mess hall? You think they have a mess? So the monks are like, going to see you in the mess.
See you in the mess hall.
See you at the PX. Gotta give me a carton of smokes.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this idea came to me and I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And it's very simple, right? I mean, you go, okay, well, you're using somebody else's mind. You're getting ideas from someone else. And where do they get their ideas? From someone else and someone else and someone else. And this is just basically how we learn. I mean, this is not anything, it's not anything complex, but it just kind of struck me as like something I had never really thought about before. And I thought was really cool, because that's why I go, that's why I go to a meeting is not, and that had me thinking about, why do I go to a meeting? Do I feel bad? So I need to feel good? Not always, like, cause I have my routine and where, I like to go to certain meetings at certain days and times. And it's like, okay, well, what can I get from it? If I want to, because I want to keep filling up the cup, right? Or whatever it is, right? So I want to keep filling up my cup. I want to stay sober, and one of the other things this guy said was, you can't get drunk on yesterday's booze, so you can't get sober. You can't stay sober on yesterday's recovery.
Uh-huh.
Right? So we have to do it the one day at a time, but, we have to do it every day.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I just love this idea of going like, oh yeah, that's why, because I want to hear what somebody else has to say. And a lot of it is repetitive. I mean, when I listen, I've read several books, or you listen to speaker meetings online, or any number of things, you hear a lot of the same stuff over and over and over. And I think, for those of us that are always looking for something new and different, and, like we've been doing this a few years. And so it's like, just don't drink, man. And I know that one, which is not to say that it's not good to be reminded, just don't drink.
Right.
Because who knows where I'm going to be at and what I'm going to be doing and what I'm going to be thinking. And like, oh, I don't know, maybe I should just have a drink. Like, just don't drink. But I just love this. I love going to places or talking, even just talking with you, and then getting a different perspective and using what you have and then filtering it through my brain and being able to go, process new information and then maybe create some new perspective on life in general, sobriety, whatever, you know? So, I mean, I have to continually, when I say we, you know, I'm talking about you and I, but I have to continually find new information or, you know, study the information I have so that I am strong enough to combat anything out there. Or even on the other end of that, it doesn't have to be a fight. It could be, I have this information to share with our audience, with somebody I meet on the street, with somebody who might need help. You know? Yeah. What are your thoughts on using someone else's mind, or how do you collect ideas?
I think of it as part of the routine now, right? In my recovery, I've got so many routines. We talk about working out and stuff, and like I didn't have those when I was in active alcoholism. I had routines, but they weren't healthy routines, and they were definitely not routines more as they were like things I felt like I was like, not forced is not the right word, but things I was obligated to do. Things I was emotionally and psychologically and physically obligated to do. I had to walk in that same little fucking track. And now it's more a routine because it makes me feel better. So it's just part of that routine. It's like I get up and do it because if I don't, then I don't feel good, you know, but I also don't go to meetings because it makes me feel good. I do the same thing. I pick up different routines from people, you know. You're you know, even with you when we talk about fitness or working out on this podcast, and you're like, I do it this way, and so then I try it that way, and I either say, this is successful, this works, or this hurts my hamstring, I'm not going to do that, you know. I'm going to maybe do a variation of that, you know. So it's like even when I watch YouTube videos on working out or playing games or anything, and I see how they do it, and so then I pick up their version of it and adapt it to the way I do it. It's like just part of life now at this point, you know? I mean, I consciously have to work my program, but I also consciously have to remember to eat at a certain time, or I consciously remember that I can't just sit and pee my pants, you know? Like have a conversation. I mean, I absolutely could, but you know what I mean? It's just these things that are now things that I consciously remember I have to do, but they're necessary for me to keep functioning. You know, just functioning in general, you know,
to maintain
functioning better. Yeah, to just maintain it. You know, recovery is such a weird thing, right? Because for me, it's always so abstract. All the time, they're like, "You work in your program. You work in your program." I'm like, I don't fucking know what that means. I'm just doing positive things. So apparently I am, but I'm not working it the way you're working it. Maybe I'm doing things you're doing, being accountable and doing rough versions of the 4th step where I have to dissect a problem and see where I am part of that problem and you know what I mean? Check out my pattern, but am I actively working the program? Like, am I walking around hitting a big book against my forehead? And no, I'm not, but I am I'm doing my version of what you're doing, you know? It was always, even to this day, it's still kind of abstract to me where they're like, you got to work a good program. And I'm like, I don't understand what that means. Like, I do and I don't, you know? It's such a generalized version of such a big ambiguous thing.
What do you think, like, about... I come across people sometimes who talk about working the program, and they talk about it in a very specific way, and that there are certain, you know, obviously there's steps, but
right.
I'm often made to feel like I'm not working it enough, and I don't like the way that makes me feel. It makes me feel bad, right?
Right.
Now,
right.
Is there motivation that I should feel bad enough to be motivated to action? Or is it like, hey man, back off, I'm doing fine? I mean, how do you feel about people who are, I don't want to say thumpers, but I guess thumpers, right?
I try not to take it so personal anymore because, my version, like I every time it's more that I'm confused by it than I feel bad. I guess sometimes I get scared, right? Because I'll see people in the rooms and people I know outside of the rooms in recovery, and they'll like relapse, and then I get scared, like, fuck, did that person not work their program correctly? Are they just, what happened, you know? And I guess I could ask. I honestly could just ask. It doesn't hurt. It's not like a big secret. They're talking about it, you know? But it frightens me because I'm like, I don't want to do that. Because things are going so well for me right now that I didn't force step hard enough, so now I'm drunk. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or, oh man, I didn't fucking sponsor anybody, so now I'm drunk, you know, because I didn't do this. And for some people, I think that fits, but for me, it doesn't. And it's not that I'm this individual. I think we are all a collective group of individuals who have our own version of doing the thing. Mm-hmm. That's kind of one of the parts of the program that kind of turned me off, is that they're like, you're not an individual, you're not a snowflake, you're not your one individual little person, but you can just take what you take and leave what you leave. But know that, you know, if you don't do it the right way, the way we're all doing it, well, you're fucked. You're gonna fucking die. And I'm like, well, what am I? Am I a snowflake? Am I an individual? Are these suggestions? Are these rules? Like, who's in charge? Nobody's in charge.
Nobody's in charge.
Alcoholics are in charge, and we're all dingbats, dude. We're all drunks. Like, shit's gonna get a little convoluted. So in the beginning, I'd feel really self-conscious about it, but now I'm just like, I'm just doing me, and I'll go into a room and talk to people, and I'm like, you do you, I'll do me, and then, I mean, if you're intentionally making me feel bad about it, well, I don't want to talk to you. And if there's something in my head already making me feel self-conscious about it, well, then I feel like I need to reassess what I'm doing, because if I'm feeling bad about the way I'm doing it, then maybe I need to sit down and think about what about it makes me feel bad, you know, because I'm not living up to like my dad's standard or my mom or anybody in the room or my first sponsor or anybody's standard. I have to live up by my standard and what works for me. And as long as I don't hurt anybody or hurt myself, do you know what I mean? That's a good place to start.
That's a good place to start. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I sometimes get stuck in feeling ashamed.
Yeah.
That I'm not working hard enough, or that, or I'll make a mistake and I'll be really hard on myself for no reason, and I'm like, where's that coming from? You know, like, and I used to joke and be like, you know, shame's a great motivator, and I don't really feel that way anymore, because there's enough shame. I've had enough shame. I've been ashamed for so many things. You know, whether it be being overweight or being drunk all the time. You know, I'll give you a quick little example of my brain in action. I put a load of laundry in this morning, right? I was like, I'm going to get up. I'm going to, and I did not have the most productive morning. I was very it was cold and I wanted to be warm, and I was fucking lackadaisical at best.
Right.
I got the bare minimum of my little routine done, and that was it. And I fucked around on Reddit for far too long. But I put the laundry in, and then I heard it go off, and I was like, make sure you get this in before you hit record, because you don't want the shit going. And then I realized my apron for work that I need to wear tonight, I forgot to put that in there, and I was like, you fucking dummy. Like, you forgot to put your apron in. And then I was like, Jesus, why are you being so hard on yourself about not washing an apron, work apron?
Just do a small load.
Just do a small load, or you know, maybe you should wash your sheets, John. Like, you know, do you know what I mean? Like, so I say that I have enough. It happens all the time, even over the littlest things, and I have to stop myself and go, that's fine. Like, that's not a bad thing. That's the worst bad thing. And sometimes maybe I'm like, maybe it's displaced. Like, maybe I'm ashamed of something else, or I'm just feeling, in general, I'm just feeling bad because I wasn't productive this morning. So that's just the cherry on top of the unproductive morning, you know, or I'm just sort of displacing that bad feeling on myself, and it's not really helpful. So, it's best for me to go, okay, so did you want the apron clean or not? So if you want the apron clean, then you're going to have to put together another load of laundry. And what needs to be cleaned? Well, the sheets need to be cleaned. And it's not like you're like, ugh, I have to clean my sheets. That's a good thing. So just fucking do the laundry, John. Do another load. You don't have to go to work until, 6:00 tonight. So what's the problem? And then I go, okay, that's not a problem. And maybe there's some level of fourth stepping in there, and maybe I just spent 3 minutes talking about my fucking apron and I'm overthinking the whole entire thing.
I mean, you could be, but it's also like just a little tiny thing that you have to like analyze, like analyze your motivation behind why you feel so like why you felt so strongly in the moment about that little tiny thing. Yeah, loop back. It's so funny when you say you feel like you don't work, like you feel self-conscious about working the program or working your program, because when I see you, I'm like, John works a really tight program, like he's really on top of it. And we've had conversations where you're like, how did you go to any meetings this week, just to see if we had something to talk about? And I'd be like, no, but I'm going next week. And I'd give you an excuse, and you're always like, you don't have to give me excuses, dude, like I'm not in charge of you. But in that moment, I'm like, damn, I'm not going to as many meetings as John. Maybe I'm fucking up, like it's these little tiny things. It's like your apron, like, dude, I bought a pair of jogging pants, right? Because I had these other jogging pants. I like zippers on my pants so my iPhone doesn't fly out. And I bought these jogging pants a while ago, and they were like one of my favorite pants, but the zipper broke. It just stopped working. It was this piece of shit jogging. They're garbage. They bought them at like TJ Maxx. They're like low quality.
Right.
So the zipper broke, right? So I had to trash them because I couldn't get, there was only one zippered pocket. I had to get rid of them. So I bought a new pair to replace them, same brand. I had them for a week and a half, and the zipper broke in the exact same spot, right? I knew I bought them from TJ Maxx. I'm not curious. I have no idea what their return policy is. I had like a mental fucking breakdown about it. I like tried to fix the zipper with a pair of pliers, and it broke the zipper even worse. And then my brain just literally just broke down. It just was like, you spent money on this thing that broke, and you should have bought another thing, but you bought the wrong thing, you fucking idiot. And like literally was sitting on the floor of my dining room, like yelling, like, what the fuck? Like by myself, like having this mental breakdown. It was insane. And I balled them up and shoved them in the trash and fucking cunt or whatever I yelled, and put on other pants. And then like had to stop and think about it. I'm like, you just had a total break with reality, like for 3 seconds, about a pair of like $20 pants that you bought. You know what I mean? So it was me being way too hard on myself. It was like internalizing all this fury and anger and pushing it in on myself, because I'm like, you're a fucking idiot for buying cheap shit that breaks. And then, of course, that all falls apart, into why I have to buy cheap shit. But it's like I think it's like a similar kind of thing, like with your apron, except you probably didn't sit on you didn't just collapse on the dining room floor and go, what the fuck, But like, it's like we beat each other up. I don't know if that's part of the human condition, or if that's part of being empathetic and sympathetic. I don't know if narcissists or people who have, those personality disorders, like feel that type of thing or just move on. Sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I could have a little bit of that. Maybe not, though. I mean, that's just said flippantly. But just to not be so over-analyzing about things and not look at it as this immense personal failure, like... That's it, and all it is an apron and a pair of like RBX pants, like who cares? Like at the end of the day, wear a dirty apron. It stinks a little bit. It's not like your client, your restaurant, your person your client's going to be like, that dude's apron stank. No. Fuck this restaurant. He gets no tip. As a matter of fact, I'm going to leave him like a pine cone. Fuck that dude. Or
no, that's not going to happen.
Right. And I had another pair of pants I could have worn. Do you know what I mean? Like I did. I had 2 pair. And then I ordered like 2 more pair on Amazon for way cheaper. And I'm like, fine now. Until those zippers break. And then I'll have to like have a fucking, I don't know.
Another meltdown.
12-step call. Just call into the head offices and be like, it's all broken. I'm going to go out and drink.
Like, sir?
Sir? This is Arby's?
What's funny is I have a few pair of like running shorts, and my favorite ones have zippers on them. So yeah. I understand.
But see, I don't like wearing the shorts in the winter because it's cold. And I'll see dudes jog by, because my street's really active. People are always walking and jogging. I see joggers all day long. And like today it was snowing, and a dude ran by in a long sleeve shirt and a pair of shorts, just jamming. And I'm like, you're fucking wild. But I ran yesterday, and it was like snowing weather, but it wasn't quite. You know how you feel that crisp in the air? Your body feels it, and I'm like, it's going to snow. And I was running in it, but I liked it. Like, it made my lungs a little hot, but I liked it. Like, I really enjoyed it, yeah.
Yeah, I think, again, you using other people's minds, also, it's about getting out of my own head. And if I can, if I can ask, we talk about like helping other people, and that's important, and getting out of your head. But even just talking to somebody else and like, hey, how's it going? And oh, you're working on this, and like this other person has this whole other life that they're fucking leading, and it's so easy to get stuck and be on the floor with a pair of pants, or
Do you know what I mean?
Like, I do. Yeah. I really, really do. I mean, so I just like being able to talk to somebody else. And so when I talk to you and I go, oh, now I can use your mental breakdown, your moments.
Right. You're like, it's
and be like,
not
okay,
a pair of RBX.
It's not a pair of RBX. This is not a big deal. And, things like, and also when it's like we were about to record and I didn't have things set up, and I go to grab the microphone, and then other shit falls off the shelf, and I'm like, fuck, what is this? I don't have time for this, like that
so
moment.
Funny. I was having a parallel moment, dude. We must be syncing up. I'm telling you. But yeah, because I was trying to set up this GarageBand thing, and I know that I had sent you the previous file wasn't that great, and so I was like, man, I gotta update this computer though, which means I gotta dump Audacity, and I don't know how to do. So I was like trying to look shit up on Safari, but then Safari became totally unresponsive, and I'm like, I don't have time for this fucking app to become unresponsive. And so I had to, like, do you know what I mean, go through all these things, and then how do I save this as an MP3? So I had to look that up, and I was just like, this is gonna sound like shit, but I gotta update this computer because it's not mine. And yeah, same thing, but I'm in here grumbling to myself just so I can talk to my friend while we record it. Like, no big fucking deal.
Right?
Like, it really isn't, yeah. But in the moment, it is incredibly overwhelming. It's like that death by 1,000 cuts. And I think a lot of people
death by
experience
1,000
that.
cuts.
Well, it's just like death by 1,000 cuts is that old saying about how they would cut you so many times you just bleed to death from all these tiny little cuts. And so for me, a lot of my frustration is not one big problem. It's lots of little problems stacking up and stacking up and stacking up until it's just overwhelming. My pants ripping, it wasn't just the pants. It was like everything leading up to it. Do you know what I mean? It was like I had to be here and I was running late and I had to do this, and this thing set me back. And so now my whole routine is fucked up, and so I need to just get out there and go do the thing I need to do to feel okay, which is running, not booze. You know what I mean? The thing I need to do to feel okay, which is funny to look at that way. But those little cuts till finally it just pops, you know, like it just breaks right open. So a lot of my feelings of being overwhelmed is a lot of death by 1,000 cuts. It's the dog barking, Olive wanting my attention, Megan wanting something from me. I need to take the trash out. I need to make dinner. But before I go to dinner, I got to go to all that shit. Go to Safeway. And then at that point, I just look at everybody and I'm like, fuck you. Your whole crew is whack. And I'll just fucking walk out of the room. And it's just Megan and the dog and my kid sitting there being like, what? Our crew? You know, like I'm just like, fuck this crew. I'm out. Peace. Yeah. Peace. Just tip over a lamp, you know, like.
Do you know who Reggie Watts is, right?
Yeah,
his comedian, musician,
the shit fuck stack.
The shit fuck stack, and that's
we talked about that here before, actually.
If you guys haven't, go check out Reggie Watts' shit fuck stack, and that's exactly what happens. Is like you take the shit, the fuck, and you stack it, and then you got a big pile of shit fuck.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Everything's a mess. And one thing that I have found that will help me a little bit. Even if it does put off other things that I should be doing, is I will just clean my house or clean my room or organize the dresser and go through the stuff and be like, I don't need this here and this here, and why are all these letters here and these books and things, and move shit around and get rid of old stuff. Like, do I need the last 3 electric bills? I mean, I'm looking at them right now. Like, I don't need these things in my life.
That's done, right? Yeah.
And move it out.
Fire. Yeah.
I got rid of a bunch of other stuff in the closet, and I organized a couple of boxes, and I have all these old Faith No More and Mr. Bungle VHS tapes that I've had for 25 years.
Yeah, do you even have a VCR anymore?
No.
Oh man, just
yeah. So
are they things you recorded off the TV, or no? They're like
I bought
tapes
them off of eBay for far too much money.
Right.
And I went online onto eBay to see if I could sell them, and they're not worth.
I mean, you could always get them transferred over to DVD, but then that's another way of just keeping shit that you're not going to use.
I don't think that I want to watch Mr. Bungle play, from 1998 in Los Angeles or wherever.
And if you do, you can go on YouTube because I
Exactly.
guarantee you it's on there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't want to throw them away. I don't want to fucking hurl them. If anybody out there wants them, let me know. You just want to pay the shipping and handling, I will get them to you. I don't care.
You hear this first, Mister. Such a niche,
Right?
Just such a niche. Yeah, like recovering, like a person in recovery who loves Mr. Bungle and Faith No More and still owns a VCR.
If you're out
Hit
there,
me up. Hit me up.
well, I got some stickers too. You can have the stickers.
Fucking Craigslist ad is the worst, dude.
Right?
Just HMU, yo.
Hit me up. So, that's something that helps me. Is it's like, okay, reorganize it, and reshuffle things and go through the bookshelf
Right.
again and just lose. If I lose half this stuff, I'll feel so much better, and I'll be like,
You're talking about a clean slate, though.
Clean
You're talking
slate.
about just clean slating thing, which I imagine. You know what? I do similar things. If I'm overwhelmed, like even cook, like I can't cook unless the kitchen's clean, so I have to clean slate it. Or like if I'm folding laundry and I need to put it on the bed to move, like I'll make the whole bed, like just clean slate. It's just things in order, right? Which is funny because you lived your life in such disorder for so long.
so long.
You know what I'm saying? And now that you've made this transition into what you are now, it almost seems like order's the purifying thing in your life.
It's absolutely the purifying. That's a beautiful way to put it, Jerry. That's really great because
Thanks.
I have to clean I have to do the dishes after I'm done and before I do anything. Like I make my bed every morning now, which I never used to do. I am irritable, restless, and discontent when there's too much clutter around me, and I've noticed that that is if I just do, and I'm getting into the routine and the habit of cleaning up after myself, which I know sounds for normal people that's what you're taught and that's what you do, but for me it's always a struggle, and I'm always like wanting to organize things, and I do all this video editing and stuff like that, and I'm so negligent in my laptop, and keeping things organized, and so then I'll go through and like, do I really like fuck? I got to go through my iCloud, and I take like 6,000 photos.
Yeah,
they're all saved up in there, and then Apple's like, hey, we need to save this for you, and I'm like, I don't need to save all this shit.
I don't even know how to get into my iCloud, so. If you let me know, send me a text, show me how after the podcast, because I have no idea. I know there's stuff in there that I want to see, and I have like gigs of it. I have tons of it, and I'm like, I don't fucking know.
I was also thinking I had a box of old writings and stuff from like high school and poems and bad shit.
Those are
like
the worst, though.
They really are. But I was thinking, should I just scan them and then have them in a digital file and then throw the papers away? I'm saying it's the worst
because I have file boxes
Yeah.
full of poems or
Right.
sketches of poems that I know I'll never touch again. But then what do I get rid of them or I keep them? I'm like, what's the sentimentality towards this piece of yellow legal paper that I wrote like fart juice on or something, or some stupid fucking thing, and I'm like,
Yes,
is this my legacy? Like, I'm gonna pass this down to Olive when I die? Like, here's all my poems about guns and porn. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I can't get rid of it. It's yeah. It's also in the garage, so it's out of sight, out of mind right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, once I approach it, I'll probably, because I have no problem throwing things away. I'll throw things away.
Yeah.
My wife has a sentimentality thing going on, and like, I'll throw shit of hers away. That sounds awful. Not important shit, like stupid shit, like the box her fucking iPhone 4 came in.
Right.
Yeah, like I'll toss that. Like I'll find it in our dresser or whatever, and I'll be like, "Why do you have an iPhone 4 box?" It's gotta go. There's no feasible thing we could use this for.
Yeah. So that gets me. I think that's probably what I'm going to spend a little bit of my afternoon. I can see the sun starting to come up a little bit, so that's nice for me that I'll be able to go outside and get a little exercise and shake it off. But I think that I'm going to have to do some cleaning. That's definitely coming this afternoon.
Your juice giving tomorrow. Your
juice giving.
One pie and a bowl of
green
wheatgrass.
Wheatgrass.
Yeah.
I'm
doing ham. Ham's given this.
You're doing ham?
Yeah, I got a turkey. We got one from the school, but I'm like, I don't want turkey's a pain in the ass to cook all whole. Like you got to cut a turkey up to cook it because it's 5 different types of meat. But ham, I love ham. And ham actually is pretty low cal.
Is it?
Depends actually. Well, it can be. I think turkey's way more lower cal, but Man, what? Come on now.
Enjoy yourself.
Turkey. Yeah, I'm enjoying make a sandwich with just 2 slices of ham as the bread.
Yeah,
and stuffing in the middle, and that'll be my sandwich.
Awesome. So using other people's minds,
Right.
It's
use that ham thing. All right.
So use the ham sandwich. That's the true
Hamsgiving.
You mentioned something before, and I wanted to bring this up. Before we started recording, we have a friend, and I was hanging out with this friend, and this friend wanted to stop and get something to drink, alcohol. And I didn't know what, and we just pulled over to this little corner store, whatever, gas station kind of thing, and he got a little mini pint of Jameson, and he brought it back to my house, and we were just hanging out, and I really don't care. Like, if he would have drank the whole thing and started fucking breaking things, again, it's not the fact that you're drinking it, it's the behavior, right? It's the behavior that comes with it, but the behavior is almost fucking inevitable. It's not like there's going to be somebody who's going to drink and maybe drink a whole bottle of whiskey and behave fine. That person?
It depends on whether it comes slow or fast.
Right. So he's got the whiskey, and and that was the other thing. He had a fucking peach Snapple iced tea as a chaser.
Nice. Hey, but we've been there, though. You know, because in your mind too, you're thinking, it's like a mint julep, right? Like it's just tea and whiskey. Yeah.
It's
just happens to be Snapple,
right?
And a pint of Jameson I bought from fucking A&P.
Basically, so. He's looking for a glass, and I'm like, yeah, just take one of those glasses. He's like, I don't want to drink it out of the bottle like a hobo, but I don't want to dirty one of your glasses. And I was like, dirty the glass, it'll take me 3 seconds to clean. Like, I don't care.
That's what they're there for.
Or you can clean it after you're done, buddy. You know. But and then so we're sitting at the table, and he pours it into the glass, and he wants some ice. No. He's like, are you all right? The smell gonna bother you? And I was like, no, it's fine. I bartended for years, you know, like I know what whiskey smells like.
Right.
But the funny thing is that here he is, like you said, you were saying that our relationship prior had always been about alcohol, and now
that was the focus of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now that I don't drink, there's this. He perceives this shift.
Right, the paradigm shift. Right, like, right, exactly, because the whole focus and intent of all of our relationship was the focus of it, was that we like to have a good time with that. And now that you've made a change, it's this person's perception of you has changed, you know. And I imagine, you know, he's probably been around non-drinkers who are like, I don't like the smell of booze, and that's a fucking trigger for me, you know. I mean, those people are out there. There's lots of those people. But you know, but I just thought it was funny you told me the story, because I was like, you're a fucking bartender. Like, you did that professionally for years, you know, and you still do it now every once in a while for parties or whatever. So if you need a party bartender in the Napa area, call John.
Yes.
He'll bring you some Faith No More VHS tapes too.
I got him.
But it's just so funny. I experienced it a little bit, but I'm not around a lot of drinkers. But, you know, we had that Halloween party, and one of my friends came up to me, and he's like, you got those little glasses, you know, for alcohol? And I'm like, you mean a shot glass? And he's like, yeah, I didn't know if I was allowed to say shot glass in your house. And I'm like, why would you not be allowed to say shot? But he was fucking with me, but, you know, the joke was there. And, of course, I still have all those fucking drinking glasses. Never got rid of them, you know, but yeah, it's just so funny that I guess the popular perception of recovering alcoholics is that we're real touchy about shit, which some of us can be.
And that's fine.
I'm not. I'm just like you. Don't get drunk and break my shit. Don't fucking act like an asshole. Don't say gross shit in front of me or my... Well, you could say gross shit in front of me because it's funny, but not around my kid. Like, we had a lady in the shop who was really fucking drunk and didn't realize she was drunk. I mean, I wasn't tattooing her, but till the end of the tattoo, and then we were all like, that lady was fucking wasted, you know? And she was around my kid, and because my kid had to be there, and I was like getting really ready to be like, you gotta fucking go, lady, you know? And then she had already left before I called her out, you know? And I was like, my daughter doesn't need to be around that shit, you know? But she will be. That's the world. It's out there. But I guess my point is, I don't know. It's just that paradigm shift is so peculiar to watch now.
Yeah, and I feel like, I imagine, again, I didn't ask him, and we don't have these conversations where I'm like, so how does that make you feel that I don't drink and that you're drinking in front of me?
Well, and I imagine they would feel like you're pushing on them.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're having like this intervention. Like, I don't know.
No.
It's so funny because I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's sometimes with the active alcoholic, their perception of me is that everything that fuels me in my life is not drinking. So my recovery, everything about me, that's all I boil down to. The only thing that wakes me up in the morning is that I'm not going to drink. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like a thing flipped completely from being an alcoholic, where what fueled me was to get up and drink. You know, I would get up in the middle of the night and drink. And so now that I'm sober, my recovery doesn't fuel me as a person. It is an aspect of my personality. Like, I much more prefer eating pecan pie than not drinking. Do you know what I mean? Nobody's like, that dude's a mad fucking pie enthusiast, you know, like, that's all we should talk about, or that's all we think that. That's a horrible analogy. But you know what I'm saying, though? It's like, there's other facets to both of us as people other than the fact we don't drink. As we talk about on a podcast where we talk about not drinking, but if this is like an hour out of my week, you know?
This is only 4% of your day.
Right, exactly. But it's a big part of my life, but it's not the only facet of me. So yeah, feel free to drink in my house. Just know if you get sloppy and fucking weird, I'm going to be like, yo, you got to knock that shit off. But even if I were a non-alcoholic who didn't drink all the time, who drank casually, I would still be like, yo, you got to knock that shit off, you know? Like,
or you got
the only difference is I used to be that guy. That's the only difference, you know? Mm-hmm. I just don't turn into a werewolf anymore, man.
But I don't have any more tolerance for the behavior because I used to be that way. I still am like, that's not okay. Right. In fact, I probably have less tolerance nowadays just because I can see it and I go, oh, you're about to get schwilly. And
I feel the same way, which is weird because it does fulfill that perception they have of us, though, that people have of us, that we are sensitive to these things. But because I am, but I'm also not like, I'm not a wilting fucking lily over here, you know. Just don't.
I just have standards now, and I think
exactly. That's great.
As active alcoholics, we were unconcerned with standards, and we, you know, you and I would just be like, whatever, it fucking happens, shit happens, bro.
It's taking the heat off my ass. Go ahead and fucking break some shit. That means nobody's looking at me, and I can just keep merrily chugging along until I get what I want, you know.
So there's that whole perception of not having any standards, and so then when you come across that, and because we gravitate toward people who are similar to us often, or rather we gravitate in recovery, you know, we try to gravitate toward people who have what we think of as a good program, or who you know, have good sobriety, because that's what we want, right? I want to be around people who have what I want. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's what they tell you, yeah. And that's kind of a good path to take, yeah.
So as alcoholics, as active alcoholics, we're like, fuck it. I don't want to be around somebody who's going to like judge me or tell me to stop or tell me I can't do the thing I want to do. And so that flips with me and my friend, where now I'm wondering like, well, what does he really think about me? But we can't really have that real conversation because I feel like he'll think that, you know, I'm picking on him or that I'm throwing it in his face, and nobody wants to talk about their disease, right? While they're drinking.
Well, it depends on how many drinks they've had.
Yes. And also,
you know what I mean? Like 1 or 2 in, maybe not, but about 6 in, they might be very honest with you about how they feel, which maybe a box you may or may not want to open, you know? Because how I feel about you is none of your business. Do you know what I mean? Unless I tell you. But, well, I guess if you ask me, I mean, I'll be honest with you, though. I've always been pretty honest with you. Like, when I'm, like, feeling lazy and don't want to do the podcast and I get on, I'm like, I don't want to fucking do this, John. Yeah. And then I'll do it and have fun doing it and be like, okay, I get it. I'm supposed to do it. But I guess that's my examples. I think, like, you and I are way more honest with each other now than we used to be.
Absolutely.
But we're still compassionate. Like, we still care about each other. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be honest with you to try to hurt you. You know, I'm going to be honest with you because that's how I'm feeling and you want to know. Where it's so complex, you know.
layered, very, very layered. You know, when I
Also,
think
like
about...
if I were in active alcoholism, I'd fuck all your glasses up. I don't care, dude. I'd get a new glass for every drink.
It's true. I mean, and you know, I wouldn't care. I mean, if I was drinking too, because I'd say whatever, just leave them in the sink, man. I'm not doing them. I'm not cleaning them today. It's fine.
They'll just do themselves eventually.
Exactly, and that's what I think. And that's another thing. They'll just do themselves, and so I have to apply that idea to the other things that, you know, whether it be a financial issue, which is some of what I contend with these days. Right. You know, it's like it's not, the bills are not going to pay themselves, so I have to find a way to put in the time, energy, and effort to pay those bills and whatever that means, and not get too caught up in what I feel I am owed or deserve or am entitled or shouldn't have to do to pay them. Mm-hmm. That's unimportant, right? If my goal is to get them paid, right? If I want to be free of the credit card debt, then go pull some more shifts, go find another job, and just go do it and be free of it if that's what you want. Instead of thinking, oh, John, well, you just have to be, it'll just take care of itself if you just keep doing what you love. And I don't want to discourage myself or anyone else from doing what they love or pursuing any passions or anything like that. I just know for myself that fucking MasterCard is unconcerned with my passions in life, regardless of what their advertising and marketing might say.
Right. Yeah.
So
it doesn't get done by itself. That was a big part of my drinking was, and that's what I was thinking about is how I don't own a home. I don't, you know, like I don't have these things that people my age would have, you know, 20 years ago. And I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into politics or the economy, but I do believe this economy is pretty stacked in the wrong fucking way. But that being said, I drank all of my money. You know, I drank like all of it. And so now I'm like, I have to start over again. And so this is what this process is. And I've been sober for 5 years. So I haven't been drinking my money for 5 years. You know, so I've got to like start over again from that spot. And it's been interesting, you know, and things have changed. But my point is, as far as money is concerned, is my old attitude was it'll take care of itself. If I ignore it, it'll go away. The creditors can only call me so many times before they give up. You know what I mean? I can only get sued so many times before they give up, you know? Mm-hmm. And, it just doesn't work like that. Like, they might disappear, but they eventually come back again. You know, they always say you got this 7-year window, but then somebody buys your debt before the 7-year window's up, and then they just start calling you again.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably
it doesn't always get take care of.
That's probably some alcoholic urban legend. That 7-year window.
It really is 7 years and all your debt goes away. And I'm like, really?
Really? Just got to hide out for 7 years? That's no problem.
And then I go and try to get a fucking, like, go get my power turned back on while I'm sober. And they're like, oh, by the way, we want a deposit of $500 because you skipped out on so many fucking bills, you know? And I'm like, $500, you know? Because I fucking drank it all. I fucked it all up, you know? And so I got to fix it. It can't... and so you just let it sit for long enough when you finally get clear-headed enough to clean it. Like, you got to start at the fucking top and clean it all the way down, you know? It happens. It takes a long time, but it'll be all right. You just got to take baby steps. You don't got to do it all at once.
You can't do it all at once. I can't.
No, it's impossible. That's why we're working these steps. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But that's why I'm doing this routine. I'm not going to wake up with a healthy heart rate, you know, because I decided to stop drinking Pepsis all the time. You know, like, I have to work at it. You have to work at those things, you know.
Yeah.
Trip, man. It's a trip.
That soda is no good. I don't want to get on any sort of fucking...
I'm drinking them Diet Cokes. I'm fine. They're good for you. I've had 2 today already. I've got to cut down, man. I was talking about it yesterday. I had 3 tall cans of Diet Coke yesterday, and I was like, that's a lot of Diet Coke. So I'm like, how many cans of soda are in a tall can? And he's like, well, it's 16 ounces. So it's like, you know, so you're only drinking a soda and a third, one and a quarter. So I'm like, drank those 3. So I'm like, okay, I've drank 4 sodas. And then the 2 I drank this morning, I was like, I drank 6 fucking sodas today. And they're like, Jerry, you can't be drinking 6 Diet Cokes. And I'm like, I know. Now I got to go into a whole other program to like kick these fucking Diet Cokes or something. I should just start drinking cold brews again, really. I mean, the amount of caffeine in this Diet Coke is not worth it. It's like 12 milligrams. Welcome to Diet Coke.
And that's not enough to make you stop. That's
It's not enough, right?
part, right?
Yeah. Because I've already had 2 today.
Uh-huh.
You know, like because I drank my smoothie, I ate an orange, and I was like, man, I earned a Diet Coke, and then drank that one, and I'm like, that one went really fast. Do you see the language?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do.
This is just like we're having these revelations, like with you and your ice cream shit. Like you know, it's like I earned that Diet Coke. I earned a second one because the first one went way too fast. Man, now I gotta go. Watch, we're gonna finish this podcast and be pouring Diet Cokes out on the lawn. I won't. I'm like, this is my last case.
I work with a guy, dude. I work with a guy who's a firefighter, and so he goes out on. Sometimes they go out on medical calls. He's a volunteer firefighter, so he's been out there and he's seen some. And he doesn't. He prefers the forest fires to like the medical calls. But he's like, yeah, we had to go. We had to go. Got a call on this woman, and she was in diabetic shock and covered in her own piss and like all this stuff. And he was telling me this, and I'm just like, Jesus, man. And you know, I don't know.
She drink too many Diet Cokes.
I don't know her medical history.
Oh, that's where your story was going.
No,
You're like, and they found 10 cases of Coke Zero, Jerry.
I don't know.
I'm like, fuck, really?
I think, again, you know, and I don't want to be, I am not puritanical about it. If Diet Cokes help you stay sober and help you stay off the fucking diet vodka, you know what I mean?
Right.
Then
you know what I mean? The skinny girl vodka, like it's all the same
by
vodka.
all means, have a Diet Coke. So I just try to be more aware of all of the decisions I make and how I make them. You know, when you talk about the language that we use, like, oh, you know, I earned it. I earned it.
First one went too fast. Yes, exactly. And then like drinking them all and then looking back and being like, wow, I drank a bunch today, because there's still that switch in my head that's making me do other things, you know? So then I have to sit down and like weigh out the medical benefits or the medical deficits of like how this will affect me. You know, it's just like with alcoholism. I had to really sit down and have that moment of clarity where I was like, this is bad. This is not just bad for you, Jerry. Like, this isn't just like kidney failure from too many Coke Zeros. You know what I mean? This is like bad for everybody around you. You know, like you're damaging your daughter. You're damaging your wife. All your friends. Like my brother-in-law who I was living with, like they still, and my sister, they still kind of don't like me because of all that shit.
Really?
I was like at my rock bottom. I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can feel it. Yeah. Yeah, and it bums me out because I love them, but you know, like I get it. I like was a big giant hunk of shit, and when I lived with them, and so those are bridges that need to be mended. Which is funny. I'm doing this now because my mom will be listening to this later at the house where they live. She'll be like making tamales or something, and my sister will be like, "Fucking Jerry." But like I'm saying, like I damaged relationships around me. And me drinking Diet Cokes, I don't damage anybody except for me. Which is still not a good enough reason, because I'm sitting here being like, I ran 3 miles and then drank 6 Diet Cokes.
Yeah. I
but that's not the point. I guess the point is that it's the language and the
intention and the language
and the compulsive behavior and the ritual and all that shit. I mean, those are all the building blocks of being an obsessive person, having a problem with a substance or having a problem with an action, you know. Yeah. Right? It's just like the stupid, this always bothered me, like that stupid South Park, and this is kind of off topic, but that South Park episode they did about sex addiction and how like this guy cheated, like Tiger Woods or somebody cheated on their wife, and he's like, I got a sex addiction, that's why. And how they were like, that's bullshit, there's no such thing as, like their whole joke was there was no such thing as a sex addiction, right? Because an asshole who may or may not be sex addicted, but an asshole said, oh, I did it because I'm like this, you know? And so that enters the popular zeitgeist, and then people are like, oh, there's no sex addiction. There's no sex addiction. You're just a dude who likes to fuck, and you're just using that as an excuse. And I'm like, no, it's a repetitive form of behavior that's affecting your life in a negative way. That's what we call it, an addiction, right? Like, so what? There's no gambling addictions, no shopping addictions. Like, these are things that you do over and over again. It's a repetitive form of behavior, and your life is being affected negatively. Like, yeah, and that's drinking Coke Zeros or fucking eating ice cream or any of those things, you know.
Not to mention the fact that, well, I read something that heroin and orgasms trigger the same part of the brain. So I mean,
I don't doubt it, man. I'm fucking Percocets. I loved them. I loved them. Yeah.
So it's hard. It's really hard for me to look at my actions objectively and then take action to change them. That being said, I have done it once before. I've done it a couple times. You know, I don't smoke either.
You did it twice. You've done it.
I don't drink
3
soda
times.
anymore. You know, I don't eat ice cream anymore. Although I did have some sugar-free. I had a scoop, 2 scoops. See, look at me saying scoop,
see,
2 scoops. Sugar-free ice cream
This is
from
where
this
it
place.
starts, dude. You think, I can handle one. I quit the ice cream. I can handle one. So you have 1 scoop at Thanksgiving dinner. Mm-hmm. Next week, you're just going to be fucking banging buckets, dude. Banging buckets.
You know how I think about it now is when those cravings come up and I go like, man, I just need some fucking ice cream. And what I'll do now is just eat a bowl of grapes. I eat like 4 cups of grapes, but like...
Right, but that's the thing, though, is it's not the ice cream that's the problem. It's your behavior towards the ice cream.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So what you're doing and what we've done is, like, adjusted our behavior. And I think quitting drinking and going into the program was not only the best thing for me to do in that moment as far as my alcoholism is concerned, but just my life in general, because it taught me routine. And it taught me routine through other people. Mm-hmm. I learned routine, a positive routine, not just like my life is routine and boring, because my life isn't routine and boring. Like I do fun shit. I'm the funnest fucking guy in this room, and I'm the only one in here. I was gonna say, yeah. But like those routines have like just enriched my life. Like my 40s have been good. I have bad days where I fucking yell on the floor of the dining room over a pair of ripped pants. Like I have those days like a motherfucker, but man. Like, just learning that routine. From quitting drinking, that's the one that starts it, right? So now I can sit down and assess, like, maybe I am drinking too many diet sodas. How do I assess this? How do I approach this? Do I do it in moderation, or do I just cut it out and go back to LaCroix? And be a LaCroix boy once again. Just add a little stevia in there and fucking let it roll.
Oh, yeah, you used to do that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A little stevia and LaCroix.
A little LaCroix boy with a little bit of sweetener in it. A little natural sweetener. Yeah. Because I just love sweet things. You know?
Me
I
too.
do, man. Yeah. And, like, I can fuck around with 4 bowls of grapes, but I don't know why I don't.
I don't know.
Like
it just, the grapes kind of, for whatever reason, it replaces it, and then that craving for ice cream disappears. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I've made that step. So when I think about things like your Diet Cokes or whatever, it's like, well... there's no need to be cut it out entirely and be puritanical about it and be severe. Like, I feel like there are, not with alcohol for me, but there are ways for me to kind of wean myself off and take smaller steps toward the better choices.
Right.
You know?
Because it doesn't snowball. It really, I mean, the ice cream and the Cokes and shit, they don't necessarily snowball the way alcohol does.
No.
I feel like alcohol is just this machine that, for me personally, like everybody's different. Once again, some people go to OA and they have problems with the way they eat, and it does snowball for them. Yeah. We're just 2 dudes.
Yeah, simply, you know, and I don't give myself enough credit for being as diligent as I am with my behaviors, even when I falter. At how they used to be, how they, and again, that snowball it was fucking. I came in like a wrecking ball, Jerry.
You did, dude. It was just a big man in his underwear on
basically
a big ball with a sledgehammer. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But I have to give myself credit and go, well, you've made a mistake.
You really do. Yeah. Yeah.
And what are you going to do to fix it? And how does it correlate to a problem that you've had in the past? And how did you fix that problem? And how can you correlate it to this problem now? And that's just fucking... Because, and again, and if I can't see it in myself, I look outward toward someone else who has solved that problem. And if I know somebody who has solved the alcohol problem, I say, hey, I have this other problem. What do you think about this? And that's where this whole, just to kind of loop it back around, in using other people's minds, in finding new ideas when we're stuck in these old ones that we can't get out of. When I can't get out of this old idea and I'm like, and I just start screaming on the floor, and it's like, okay, Somebody has figured this out. Go and find the someone who has figured it out, ask them how they did it, and then apply it to your own life, because you've already done it once, twice, 3 times a lady,
right?
You know.
Yeah. I love you.
Well, shit, man. I think we'll put it there.
Yeah.
That's a good place to end it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get some Diet Cokes.
Yes. I mean, you did whatever.
No, not really. I gotta go buy a ham.
You're gonna go
I
buy
gotta
a
see
ham?
a man about a ham. Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoy your Hamsgiving, and everybody out there. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And
hope it was good, filling, no arguments.
No arguments.
Got to watch football or got to not watch football. Don't worry about your family. Going home sober's wild. I've done it. Except my parents are sober too, so I got lucky.
Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.